Slightly thick? Liquid death? You betcha. Hey folks, I'm SimplyThickJohn, and I love to thicken things and show you how to do it. To do something like liquid death, which is carbonated, I need 2 cups because I'm going to use a technique where I'm going to release a lot of the carbonation from here. Not a lot, but the stuff that's really ready to come out right now, and that way I can put in some thickener without creating a big foamy mess that you can drink and enjoy and still feel that carbonation. So I poured it in here a little aggressively to try and get rid of some of that carbonation, but in a sparkling mineral water like this I just have to mix a little vigorously with my spoon for 3, 4, 5 seconds to release a lot of that carbonation. There is more carbonation in here than you need to drink it. That's why you can have it out for a couple hours and not have to worry about whether it still has that carbonated feel or not. So in the second cup I put my 1 dose of thickener. So it's 1 dose and 6 ounces. Now I'm going to pour from this cup into that cup, and I'm going to be very careful not to pour too fast so that I release a lot of carbonation. I'm trying to minimize the carbonation release right now as I'm moving into the mixing phase. Because once you put the thickener in there, if you mix too vigorously, then it just becomes a foamy mess, and people don't want to drink that. I do have right here an example of a foamy mess that I made just for fun, and you can see that it gets all cloudy white and full of bubbles, and it doesn't look as nice and as appealing as you would want it to. I just did that for demonstration purposes, and that's what I'm trying to avoid here. So I'm going to use a very soft, gentle mixing technique. This takes a little longer than normally would thickening something like carbonated water, instead of being a, I don't know, 20-second, 30-second type of mixing. This might be 35, 40, 50, maybe even a minute, depending on what I'm thickening. You can use this on soda pop, you can use this on beer, you can use this on any carbonated beverage. This technique, some back and forth, maybe a figure 8 is going to do it, but just a very slow mixing technique, trying to minimize the amount of carbonation that comes out. We developed this technique about 6, 7, 8 years ago, and the whole idea was to have something that looks and tastes just like it should, to increase the visual appeal. And it's really hard to explain to people. If you try to use a powder, it just kind of explodes, takes out all the carbonation and leaves a terrible mess, and it probably doesn't thicken very well either. So we developed this technique to thicken and minimize the amount of head on here. We did some testing recently to validate that as long as you follow the method and you mix well, you are actually going to get the thickness that you intended. So I think we're at slightly thick here. You can't really run a flow test. The air bubbles that are in there would plug the flow tester, so you have to trust your technique and know what you're doing. So it's not a beginner technique, but it is a very worthwhile technique, and you get to enjoy your carbonated thickened beverage, and it tastes great. And that's how you make slightly thick liquid death. Please like and follow for more great mixing demos and information on the International Dysphagia Diet Standardization Initiative.